Hey everyone, so just a heads up for anybody who did not catch the last episode, this is our first two-part episode because our original recording turned out so massive that it doubled the time necessary for editing, so we figured we'd get the first half out sooner rather than later. And I highly recommend going back and listening to that first if you haven't already, since it sets up a lot of the foundations that me and Colin discuss regarding our thoughts on the Sonic franchise. Also, just a heads up, throughout this recording, basically Colin's internet connection decided to throw a tantrum, so we had numerous points where his audio would just drop out, and I've edited around it as best I can, but you'll still notice it at moments. And that is just something we'll try and deal with in the future. In any case, thanks for your patience while listening to this. And as of the day this is being uploaded, we are hoping to record our follow-up episode with Chris regarding Sonic comics, cartoons, and spin-offs, hopefully this weekend and then up the following week. Stay tuned. Keep tabs on our Twitter and Facebook pages at SketchWatchPlay. In case that status changes, that's where you will hear about it. Anyway, enjoy. Are you ready to get back into things starting with 06?
Absolutely.
I think this is where I'm going to start the second part of the recording, but I love the fact that you sound so eager to talk about Sonic 06.
Well, it's fascinating because
it is fascinating. This is one of the most infamous train wrecks in all of gaming now.
Yeah.
Such lofty ambitions, such clear effort put into production values, and yet such a disaster in almost every way.
Except one.
Which one?
The music.
Yep. I feel like that's a constant in Sonic games. They generally nail their soundtracks. Even the exception being Sonic Chronicles, because apparently they had to redo it at the last minute.
Yeah.
But
which is fascinating because I had wait, are we recording yet?
Yeah, I'm recording.
Okay, cool. So I used to have a theory about that the quality of a Sonic game was inversely proportional to the quality of its music.
Huh?
Now, granted, Colors broke that. Well, Unleashed broke that for me, and then Colors smashed that for me.
Oh, yeah.
Because Colors had both good music and good
gameplay.
Good gameplay. But Sonic 06, oh my god, Sonic 06.
Where do we start with this?
Well, personal anecdote. So, you got to remember, the Sonic 06 was announced right when at the turn of the generation.
Yeah, 360 was already out and PS3 and Wii were imminent.
Were about to happen, and nobody really knew what to expect from the Wii.
Mm-hmm. So
it wasn't ported. And to be honest, this was also when I was starting college for the first time. So this is
same. This was the year I started college, and I think, did you start in 06?
Yeah, we started. We met about a year later.
Yeah. This is how we first met. Did Chris start 06?
No, he'd been going for a while.
Okay, yeah, because I think I brought up in this show. I didn't know Chris as well in school as I knew you and a lot of others. It was later on we got closer.
Yeah, so around this time, I was trying to decide which next generation console I would pick up. Mm-hmm. And so this is where I discovered the joy of roommates. So I had one roommate who already had an Xbox 360. I had one roommate who already had a PS3. So I guess I figured with my loan refund money, I would be the guy who picked up the Wii.
Okay, smart.
So I dodged a bullet. I didn't know it at the time. I dodged one bullet and then actually picked up another gun.
Would that be secret rings?
Yeah, so we're going to get into that.
Yeah, but okay, 06.
So 06.
But they are tied together in terms of what made 06 what it is.
Yeah. So Sonic Team decided that they would make the killer app for the next generation.
Yeah, this was going to be their big comeback.
But you remember earlier on I said in 03 they split the games to make deadlines.
Yes.
And that was something that was going to come back to bite them later on.
Yes, please elaborate for those who don't know.
So Sonic 06 was meant to it was nowhere near ready, but they had to meet the 2006 Christmas deadline.
Because it launched on 360 first, and I think they made a deal with Microsoft, like it has to be out at this point.
Yeah, so they were they had a really fascinating Tokyo Game Show demo, where they announced the game where Sonic runs through a forest. He meets a bunch of really futuristic Robotech Eggman robots.
Yep.
Transforms into Super Sonic, and all while his world is belting out, and we're just, oh my god, this is going to be amazing.
His world.
And it's weird. It's fascinating because there's another thing. There's a tangent there about the music and how lyrics apply, but that's for later. So that was that summer of 2006. suddenly they're rushing to get this game done. It needs to be done by 2006. Corners are cut, levels are cut, things are broken. It is a mess.
But what was the biggest? What was the fatal blow?
You're gonna have to elaborate for me because I know I'm
okay.
I'm not.
So I this is why we brought up secret rings. Basically, Sega had intended before they knew the Wii specs to port it to Wii as well. But since the Wii was basically a souped up GameCube, it couldn't do HD. The graphics couldn't get much better than the previous console. That's also why it was cheaper. And Sega, I think they gave it a look, and they might have tried, but they're like, it's too much work to rework 06 to be Wii compatible. And they eventually just went, hey, dev team, we're going to split you in half. Half of you finish 06 in this crunch period where we need all of you. The other you make secret rings from scratch. That'll work out. So they had no time to QA. I think there are the stories of people who QA tested 06 and were telling Sega, like, this needs to be fixed. And they're like, nah.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think Secret Rings deserves its own sort of spot and sort of things.
We talk about it next.
But back on 06. Man, everything but the music was a mess.
Man, one other famous thing. I think the thing this game, on internet subculture, it's just become infamous for the fact that Sonic is kissing a human princess at the end. Well, not just kissing, to bring an impaled Sonic back to life. Sonic dies.
Yeah, and the thing is that the problem that we have is that you see this sort of Final Fanification of
yes.
Of
if you
Sonic's
watch
story.
the intro cuts FMV of this before Sonic shows up, it looks good, but there's nothing Sonic about it. It's this fantastical Venice-like world of these humans. It's like anime-ish princess, fire demons. You got Ifrit.
From a story perspective, Sonic, Eggman attacks a festival, kidnaps the princess. Sonic saves the princess. Then in the cutscene right after the in-game cutscene, in-engine cutscene right afterwards, Sonic loses the princess. Then goes on a day-long trip to go find out information about Eggman, chases down his spaceship, and then loses the princess entirely. I remember watching that first cutscene thinking, Mario's track record is not that bad.
Oh, she gets kidnapped 4 or 5 additional times with Sonic, right?
Yeah.
The story of this game is a goddamn mess. This was the nadir of something I should have brought up earlier because we were talking about the adventure Too Getting Dark. Is there can be a problem when the writers take Sonic stories too seriously, and this is Exhibit A. There's no humor in it.
Oh, and the other problem is that something we forgot to mention in the Shadow review. The game's not really about Sonic at all.
No, he is the least essential in terms of any of the characters that you play as. Shadow and Silver are far more closely linked and involved with the overall plot.
And that's a problem when the game's called Sonic the Hedgehog. If you wanted to call it Trunks the Hedgehog, you can absolutely call it Trunks the Hedgehog, because that's what Silver is. Silver is Trunks the Hedgehog. He is
Trunks, yeah. I remember I always joke to people, this is how you can tell this is bad. We're one of the main characters. It's a time-traveling psychic hedgehog who doesn't go fast.
Yeah.
Just from the moment go, Silver is not a good idea. And oh my god, that first boss battle with him.
It's no use! It's no use! It's no use! It's no use!
Well, honestly, I don't think Silver is inherently a bad idea.
But again, it's all in the execution.
Exactly. Because you'd see him revisited in Generations where they do.
Yeah, he's come back. Even though this whole game was retcon, I don't know what he's doing there anymore.
Well, I mean, and that's something to touch on in Generations, but
okay.
we'll touch on it when we get to Generations because it's a problem that Sega has with their characters, or Sonic Team has with their characters that we'll hit on in Generations.
Yeah.
But back on 06, because gameplay-wise, Silver's not a bad idea. Let's see what Sonic can do with the Unreal Engine. That's an interesting.
Yep, they're all about
idea.
the physics.
But Silver's not the way to go. Shadow has devolved even further because now he's I'm not the gun guy.
I'm the vehicle guy.
And it's but why do you need a car?
Yeah, you've got jet boots.
And it's you don't even, not even why do you need a car? Why would you need any vehicle?
I was like that in Shadow's games too. I don't want to ride this motorcycle. I can just run. I gotta go fast.
Barring straight up flight, you have enough ability to do anything. You don't need the hopper vehicle. You don't need
He can't shoot missiles out of himself, granted.
Yeah, so Shadow's just a mess. And then Sonic, what's interesting is that you would see the seeds of the boost formula starting to come together.
Yeah.
In the Mach speed sections.
Oh, but man, did they not pull it off.
Oh man, for the summer of 2007, my favorite my favorite phrase that you could always send me into giggles was breakdance of doom.
I thought you were going to say, that tornado is carrying a car.
That tornado's carrying a car.
Well, because like if Sonic hit something, they didn't animate, they didn't do the stumble that
he just goes flailing away. It's the weirdest, jankiest. Oh my god!
It's like he's breakdancing on crack because he couldn't.
I didn't play this game for a long time, and I recently watched Game Informer's YouTube channel did a Let's Play of it, and man, their reactions to some of this shit, even when like they reincorporated the adventure thing of jumping off several points, in a scripted manner, but he just does this weird like flying candy animation, and they started laughing and were like, man, this is unintentionally one of the funniest games ever made.
Oh, absolutely. To say nothing of the length of the levels, like a typical Sonic level should be no more than 5 minutes at its hardest.
Yeah, maybe 8, but it's like, these things go on, and like it's another game where like it's unforgiving with its like life counter, no continues. If you didn't save, then you got to do.
I mean, heck, even Mania has kind of made me revise that counter from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. But those levels are long, made worse by the loading times. I used to annoy my roommate because it would just, every time I say loading, like, loading, still loading.
And there's just so many of them, like, just, even with bosses, like, load for the boss intro cutscene, in regardless of it's the same environment, then load for the fight. Did they load for the results screen on boss battles? I think they did. Hang on. Sorry, one more time.
No, I said I lost you. It's like you asked a question, something about did they do for the boss battles?
Did they do load screen transitions for the boss results screen?
Yep.
Holy shit! How do you do that?
No idea.
That's a special kind of ineptitude.
And the other thing is that then you had the side quests too, which amounted to nothing.
Oh, filler in the worst, like these boring hubs, and just like do a scavenger hunt, do a riddle, do math, and
my favorite one was, okay, I'm gonna send you on a quest to find this guy.
Captain of the Guard.
Yeah, like first hit A to talk to the person.
Becomes a riddle.
Screen. Then, okay, here's a riddle. Loading screen. Go talk to all the other people in town.
Loading screen.
Loading screen. Talk to the guard, captain of the guard, the guy who gave you the quest. Oh, by the way, I'm the guy who.
It was me all along. What a twist.
Yeah, and it's like, and then of course loading screen, and then by the way, this was all to open a door.
Yes, and compounded by the fact that these are photorealistic humans. Like, Adventure and Shadow, at least because of like technological reasons, were more anime-ish. Same with X. This is just ugly-looking, early 360, regular people, and regular cats and dogs.
Well, and here's a fascinating thing. This is a tangent that I think that will come back to Sonic, is when Pixar first announced that they were going to do a movie, and they said that they were going to use Toy Story and the focus was going to be on the toys. They said, well, because we can't get photorealistic humans.
We're not there yet.
If we tried, it would be very disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
Sega did not get this memo. And while the photorealistic humans clash horribly with the noodle-limbed Sonic characters, the character who gets it the worst is Dr. Eggman.
Oh my god. It's scary.
And that was just...
No, have you seen people hack the game to remove his glasses and you can see his eyes?
Yeah, it's just disturbing.
Yeah.
I mean, even with the glasses, it's just, I don't care about this bald mustache.
Yeah, and poor Mike Pollock, because they made the character really serious, too. Mm-hmm. And, like, he had to do kind of a different voice for it, and I'm just like, this is not working. Nothing about this is working. Nothing about this game. Jesus.
So it's very telling that that the next game after that on consoles at least, because we do need to catch up with one of the spinoffs that would become vitally important in saving Sonic. Mm-hmm. The next game would use Pixar-esque characters.
Yes, and that worked out so much better for me.
Speaking of, but I think, I don't know, there's not really much else to say other than the music is really good.
The music is really good, and I love the fact that the entire game story is retconned out of existence at the end.
Oh, yeah. So basically...
Like, you can legit ignore it.
Yeah. And I think it's very frustrating because, like, Silver is an interesting character concept.
He's what's the Terminator guy's name? He's the Kyle Reese of Sonic.
Well, not just that, but his powers are so at odds with the rest of the characters. Like he can approximate Sonic by flying, but he doesn't. But he's fundamentally a different character from a different game, and it's fascinating to see how he plays off of Sonic.
Really, I just think the saddest / funniest thing about this whole endeavor is it was hyped up so much. There was such grand ambition to be such a return to form, and instead it became still probably the lowest point the series has ever reached.
Which is
Rise of Lyric.
Which is fascinating because the seeds of saving Sonic were happening over at Nintendo.
Yep. So, what's the next game you want to talk about?
Well, first, let's talk about the game that I'm not talking about in terms of saving Sonic. Sonic, and the secret rings, and then we'll talk about that other savior of Sonic.
Yeah. I love the fact that after that they were like, the sequel was Black Knight. They had a label like the Sonic Storybook Series, and it began and ended with that. I actually remember I didn't mind Secret Rings that much when I played it, but I still was not touting it as like, oh, this is a return to form, because they made what a weird decision to make an on rails like driving controlled kind of Sonic. Like instead of a steering wheel, you were using the Wiimote. You there? That's all right. I lost you for a bit.
Yeah. But anyway, you were saying about on the Wii.
Yeah, Sonic and Secret Rings. This is like such a weird point because I actually remember I did have an okay time with it, but I still was not acting like, well, this is the return to form, because what a terrible idea to make like an on rails like steering wheel control just to incorporate the Wiimote.
Oddly enough, it's fascinating because I didn't mind it. I just hated that it started off so slow. Honestly, I felt like Secret Rings was a great proof of concept for the Wii, but it was not anywhere near a killer app for it. No,
not for the Wii or Sonic. But I mean, I played it to completion. That's more than I can say about Shadow and a lot of other ones.
Yeah,
because you talk about the slow beginning. Like Sonic had experience in Level Up in this, which was also incorporated on Unleashed later. But that meant you had to build up to him reaching the speed you're used to.
Which I guess I sort of get on a level of, on an auto scroller, you want to have as much control as you can before you relinquish it to the character. But that was too much speed to be relinquished. Similarly, like it's very telling that after Secret Rings, and really that era of that initial learning period, that motion controls would largely disappear from the Wii. And by
as a
that
priority, at least.
Yeah, exactly. I misspoke. Exactly that. And that, like, the idea of turning the Wii remote on its side, holding it like an SNES controller, and using the tilt to control Sonic is a really good idea. It's just that the Wii remote was not precise enough to handle that.
Yep.
That
whole motion gaming fad era was so strange.
Well, I get where they were coming from. You want to simplify.
We did get some good games out of it, I'll admit.
But it was not. It didn't work out.
Yeah.
And likewise with the.
No, you go ahead. Likewise with what?
With the story, it allowed Sonic to do some things that he's never been able to really do.
It was strange though, because it was like, well, it's inside a book, and so the characters he meets in this look like Knuckles and but they're not. It's just a weird thing.
And then even like with the whole ending of him like feeling lost from Shara, which is not the example I was alluding to earlier when we were talking about Sonic X, but the idea of this rage-driven demon Sonic, Dark Spine Sonic being the final
form.
Which is fascinating because Seven Rings is still one of my favorite Sonic themes.
Are you talking about the Seven Rings in Hand?
Yeah, again, the music is still freaking amazing.
Oh, do you know who the guy is who's saying that?
No.
I looked him up. You've seen Cowboy Bebop, right?
Yeah.
He is the guy who's saying Ed's farewell song, Call Me, Call Me.
Huh.
Which is like one of the best tear-jerkers in anime, if you ask me.
Well, I've learned something new.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's interesting because that's when they start to wean themselves off of Crush 40 a little bit. Like, like Jin Sunue is still the music director for up until Colors. But they're starting to wean themselves off of it. And you're getting some, actually, I think you're getting some sort of fascinating musical compositions, because I like Crush 40, but you can tell that like when they don't have full control over the music, they're not quite as on point.
Right. Like I remember their Shadow songs not being my favorite thing. But do you want to talk about Black Knight at all? I never played it.
Yes and no.
Okay.
What's interesting is that Secret Rings plays into a problem that Sonic team has admitted that they always have. Is that Sonic games never do well enough to know that they're to be considered successful, but they never do so poorly that the mistakes are abundantly clear. So
they're always uncertain.
Exactly. So they're always selling well. They're always selling well enough. That's why you have so many different explosions of creativity. Speaking generously,
and that's why the series has never ended despite having so many duds.
Exactly. Because okay, well, you're doing. It's like when you go into a live stream and the same 3 or 5 people show up. You're not doing poorly because people are still showing up. But you're not doing well because more people are not showing up. You're not
expanding your audience. That's how
exactly.
Yeah.
So, Black Knight was the result of that, wherein Secret Rings did well enough that it deserved another shot. And so they gave it to the Secret Storybook series.
Mm-hmm.
However, they wanted to take they wanted to expand on it, so they gave Sonic a sword.
Yep.
They got a whole bunch of crazy awesome musicians to do the compositions. Like you had Tommy Tallarico, you had somebody from some really big rock band.
Tommy Tallarico worked on Black Knight?
Yeah.
Huh.
You had somebody from Marty something or other from some band that I don't pay attention to, who did the final theme with me. And of course you had Crush 40 on doing Night of the Wind.
Yeah.
But by this point, we've kind of gotten tired of Sonic, and
this was almost peak Dark Age. I feel post 06, nobody had hope for him anymore.
And not only that, but all of the warning signs were in Black Knight. You had a gimmick.
Yep.
You had a sword.
Yep.
You had the other gimmick. It was motion controls.
Yep.
You had the butt rock, which I mean, I love Sonic music, but it's butt rock. You had a scenario that didn't make sense for Sonic. I mean, not even ignoring the sword. He's fighting King Arthur. Why? So a whole bunch of things that did not work for Sonic, which apparently is unfortunate because apparently Black Knight was not that bad.
Wait, did you not play it?
This was around the time where people were also making fun of me for Sonic, and I was trying to be a little. This is also in college, because in college, John and I come from a very critical school, and a school wherein if your work is not good, you don't pass the class.
Oh, that's my story.
And so what gets worse is that what's basically if you were Michael Bay and you wrote Transformers and you presented it in class, you would fail the class. So that started to color my perceptions of quality, wherein I would be less likely to accept stuff just because it had 1 or 2 of my favorite elements in it. So a Sonic game in and of itself is not enough to sell me on a Sonic game. I had to. So by this point, I'd kind of weaned myself off, and I was just I'm gonna wait until the reviews. The reviews were not kind enough for me.
Yeah.
And so I ended up skipping it. But watching it later on Let's Play is just this is not a bad game. Just not worth the $60 they want me to pay for it. So, ended up never playing.
Yeah, we should move on because I think this next one we're gonna have some interesting points. Because do you have anything you want to talk about before Unleashed?
Actually, yes.
Which ones?
So we're gonna go back to 6, and this is gonna tangent into the next game, not Unleashed. So one of the more fascinating elements of 06 was a character named Blaze the Cat.
Yep. Are you talking about where she originally came from?
So Blaze the Cat in Sonic 06 was a companion of Silver the Hedgehog from the future. Yeah. Now, unbeknownst to the developers of Sonic 06, Sonic team had also contracted the aforementioned dimps we talked about with Sonic Advance and Sonic Advance 2. They had contracted them to do to port Sonic onto the Nintendo DS. And so what they did was they created a game called Sonic Rush.
Right. Which came out first, and that was Blaze's debut. Is that why she has a different backstory in that game?
Yeah, because they didn't know what the Sonic 06 team was going to do. So in that game, Blaze is from another dimension.
Whoops.
Yep. Now, the way I like to read the story, because I'm a nerd, is that after the Blaze, because in the game Sonic 06, Blaze seals the bad guy of the game, Iblis, into herself, and then seals herself off in another dimension.
Yeah, she sacrificed herself.
After that, time is reset. So the events of the game never happened.
But maybe she's still in another dimension?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So basically, she steals herself from another dimension with those fire powers, and so, but with the reset, she's always been from that dimension.
Yeah, that works. But let's talk about Rush. I didn't play that much of it, but one key thing to talk about. This was the introduction of the boost meter.
Exactly. So we talked about earlier about how Dimps had sort of bought into the hype of Sonic must go fast.
Gotta go fast.
Now, they sort of tempered this a little bit in Sonic Advance 3, and they kind of perfected it with the Rush series. But they introduced, like as John said, an element wherein if you held down the action button, I'm going to call it the action button.
Yeah, not the jump button.
You would perform a instantaneous boost.
And there was a meter for it that was rechargeable. It basically replaced Spin Dash.
Well, essentially, because with the Spin Dash, what happened is you would charge it for 3 seconds, 2 to 3 seconds. Mm-hmm. You would let it go, and then you would eventually, unless you were on a slope, you would lose momentum.
Yeah, if you didn't have the momentum, it would slow down. Boost is just like
again.
Fuck momentum.
But with the boost formula, you just automatically start the boost, and it's sustainable as long as you perform aerial tricks similar to a skateboarding game.
Yeah.
The idea being that you have to conserve your boost, or in theory, the intended consequence is that you conserve your boost for when you really need it. At higher levels of play, it's about how long you can sustain your boost while doing the things necessary to maintain that boost.
Yeah, especially for speed run.
Which is essentially basically play a Sonic game like you would Sonic. Maintain your momentum, but also at the same time be as stylish as possible, or you're going to stop.
A new spin on it.
You would also have to learn how to learn the level layouts, because if you boosted into a brick wall, that was your fault. Or worse, and this is as Dimps is starting to give into the worst of their excesses, a bottomless pit. And so yeah, but the reason why I credit Rush with saving the series is that it introduced that idea of momentum through careful play.
Right, and this brings us to Unleashed.
Yeah.
Which was, I still think it's very flawed. I think everybody knows it's very flawed for, one specific reason. But I think this was the first sign of a step in the right direction.
Well, actually, I would go back one game, the game we just talked about, and say that was the first step.
Okay, but I mean in terms of the big home console games.
Oh, yeah, well...
This was the first HD one post-06.
Well, and I think the other issue there is that it speaks to a mentality that the fandom at large has that I have a problem with, that we will talk about later. But anyway, yeah, so on Unleashed. So, Dr. Eggman, so the game basically starts off with
we talked about this. It's amazing intro. Yeah. It's like it would be the climax to another game.
Yeah, it starts off like the end of another Sonic game. Dr. Eggman is in space with his evil robots. Sonic turns supersonic. He chases down Eggman. They do their game, basically saying, "Look, we both know how this goes. Just give up and you're fine." Except that this is the beginning of a Sonic game and not the end. So Dr. Eggman traps Sonic, uses him like the Death Star to bust open the planet. Unleash Cthulhu, because basically Dark Guys is essentially Cthulhu, because they're
I thought that was kind of strange, but yeah.
And then turn Sonic into a wolf hog. I refuse to refer to him by his actual name, because a werehog is a man pig.
Were means
Sonic is
it should be hedge wolf.
So Sonic is already a werehog.
Yes, and so the side effect of this whole thing is that every night he wolfs out.
Yeah, so either hedge wolf, wolf hog, whatever you want to call it, he basically turns into Kratos as by way of I don't know if he's vampire. Yeah.
He can't run fast anymore, but he's stronger and his arms can stretch for some reason.
Yeah.
So he falls back on Earth, finds this little chip. He looks like a flying chihuahua.
Yeah.
And they set out to, because the world's been broken apart, they find out putting the Chaos Emeralds in certain temples will restore it while fighting Eggman from the way.
And so what happens is that there's the worst excesses of Sonic Team's design philosophies start to sort of fall away. Mm-hmm. Like in 06... to a degree. Yeah. Yeah, like in 06, people had complained about the amount of playable characters. Because yes, there were 3 main campaigns.
I feel like from this point onward, it's like, okay, you'll see some of the other characters, but it's just Sonic again.
Well, yeah, because there were like 3 campagns. There were Sonic, Silver, and Shadow, and each of them had 2 other hangers on. Sonic had Knuckles and Tails.
The buddies that
Silver had,
and they fucked those up too.
Silver had Amy and Blaze, and then Shadow had Rouge and
Omega.
Gamma.
Yeah, or Gamma.
Omega.
Which robot was the one in Adventure? Was that Omega or Gamma?
That was Gamma.
The new one's Omega.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Sonic team took their advice and said, okay, well, we need Sonic, but we also need another gameplay style. But if we give it to another character, like say cough Knuckles, the fans will complain about why Shadow isn't playable or Tails isn't playable and so on. So let's condense it down.
Let's make another form for Sonic.
Yeah, which sucks to me because honestly, in America it's called Sonic Unleashed.
I know the Japanese title.
In Japan, it's called Sonic World Adventure. Yep. Now, what would have been fascinating to me is Sonic and Knuckles World Adventure. Would you have bought that? The name alone.
Yes.
I mean, not in.
Hang on, I lost you again.
Cool.
I'm sorry, I've lost you for like the last 30, 40 seconds.
It's okay. Everybody you guys just heard me screaming. It was funny.
But I would have bought it. I mean, the name alone, Sonic and Knuckles World Adventure, would have been better. Because
like the gameplay style of the Wolf Hog works better with Knuckles.
Yeah.
Like he runs around and punches things, and his plot could be, the death laser from the sky shattered the Master Emerald, and now Sonic
emeralds.
Yep. And then Knuckles is on a quest for the Master Emerald pieces, while Sonic is on a quest.
I guess my bigger problem with the Werehog is that the combat is very shallow.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's weird because I don't think it's shallow, as there's not much incentive to try out the later moves.
Yeah, and that becomes very repetitive because of that.
Because he has a very extensive moveset.
Yeah.
But there's no incentive to use it.
Yeah, you can get by with the most basic of combos.
And I mean, in a game like Devil May Cry, that's fine, but not for a game like Sonic Unleashed, wherein the draw is the daytime stages of Sonic, not the nighttime stages. Mm-hmm. And also, honestly, if they had beefed up the platforming just a little bit, it probably would have been tolerable. But
I remember finding the platforming there iffy too because of how he moved in the perspectives.
Yeah.
They need to fine-tune that if they were going to rely on slower platform. Because, actually, I do want to bring up, this is going into elements of game design, and there have been interviews with some of the designers, and they say kind of the reason they would lean towards stuff like that is because if you want to make a regular Sonic going fast level, the problem is you spend a lot of time making a big level that is over real quick. So they were worried about the game's longevity.
Well, to say nothing of what happens when you eventually break the game, and then suddenly there's entire chunks of work that are not there. Like in the daytime stages, which we'll get to in a second, there's a level where in Sonic there's a set piece where Sonic is supposed to race up a clock tower.
Yes.
However, if you watch speedrunners and they play the broken game, they basically ramp off the beginning of the game and then skip to the halfway point of the game past the clock tower. Most of the game, so most of that level is not played. Wow. So yeah, at least in speedruns anyway.
Yeah. But just quick, like the other issues of padding, like the hub world satellite quests still aren't as bad as 06, but they're still intrusive. And I really don't like the medal collecting mechanic.
Yeah.
You basically have to the idea is to unlock later levels. There are sun and moon medals to connect in each, both daytime and nighttime levels, and you often have to go back and replay levels to collect them. And that's kind of artificial and even frustrating when you don't know where they are.
Well, and it's also what's frustrating about the hub too, as well, is that like Sonic Team had sort of learned from the hubs in Adventure 2 by getting rid of them.
Yeah.
And then they brought them back because of 06 and the fans. And it's like, well, you still don't need them. And honestly, this actually segues into the other version of Sonic Unleashed, the Wii PS2 version.
Yeah, where the hub worlds were replaced with menus.
Yeah, and you're honestly not missing much.
Did they keep the medals, though, in that version?
Yeah, they're still findable. But they're not as bad.
Yeah, I've heard some people prefer that version because of that.
Honestly, from a gameplay standpoint, at the time, I gave it a better rating than the
HD version.
Yeah, because the balance of the boost meter was better centered around management rather than just simply holding it and grabbing the rings.
Do you want to talk about the daytime levels now?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of need to go shorter with some of these games. We're going to be here all evening.
Well, that's what editing's for. But I get you. I feel you. So the nighttime stages are one half of the game. The daytime stages basically take the boost formula from Unleashed and transpose it into 3D.
Yeah, they're kind of doing the mock speed sections right because you have proper control.
Mm-hmm. And what gets interesting and fascinating about the daytime levels of Unleashed is that the exploration takes a strange turn as well. Mm-hmm. Like before, it was basically wide open exploration.
Yeah, this was more narrow, kind of almost guided areas to account for how fast you were now going. This was like the biggest example. I'll wait for you to come back.
Okay.
Hang on, I lost you for a little bit.
Yeah, there we go. We're good.
No, I was just saying because I remember seeing the trailers for the daytime levels before the game was out, and I was like, this. Not only did this look like a genuine reinvention of 3D Sonic, but it looked like one that caught my interest.
Well, and the thing is that what's interesting with that is that the exploration changes because now instead of this wide open world where you can go fast in any direction you want, you have a linear corridor. Yeah,
so it was more about reaction time.
But not only was it about reaction time, but it was also about replay value.
Yes.
Because suddenly it's not just find the route, it's find the best route.
Were red rings introduced in this game?
No, that would be colors.
Okay.
But it was like find the best time. Okay, redo it. Find another route. Get good enough to try the alternate route. See if you compare notes between your first route and your second route. Play through your second route. Find the branch, the next branch that leads off of there.
Yeah, there's so many points where in this format where like you're going and like right when you jump off to one ledge, you see another one that's now just out of your reach. So you're like, oh, next time I play, I want to perfect that and see what's over there, and I like that.
And the issue is that then you get the detractors where this is where the idea of the boost to win comes from. Even though it had already pre-existed in Advance 2, Rush, and Rush Adventure.
Yeah, because when you boost, you're basically invincible when it comes to standard enemies. Not so much stage hazards. In fact, it's riskier since you could fall in the pits and such. But that's probably the element they're talking about.
And this is what I liked about the PS2 version, was that you were limited to a certain number of charges for your boost, and it wasn't unlimited.
Oh, it wasn't one regenerating meter for 3
minutes. Okay. Basically, like the meter would regenerate if you collected rings, but you were instead of having a continuous stream of boost, you would basically unleash them in charges. Yeah. Aha, see what I did there is a pun. Okay. And so you would have to basically conserve your charges to hit the best time for boosting. So
it was all strategic timing of when you use your chargers and when to save them.
Yeah, but the HD version didn't do that.
No.
The fans kind of, and the detractors was like, oh, well, all you do is hold boost to win. It's like, but then you watch the speedrunners, and you'll notice that the speedrunners' times are almost half of what your average time is, even without the breaks like quick step, QSS, and level breaks.
Because they know the right times to use it. And yeah, I think I'll just say overall, it's worth playing, but there a lot of the padding elements, like how the Werehog levels work and projection with the medals, kind of hold it back from greatness.
Agreed. Like for me, it's like a 7 out of 10.
I brought this up in my mod video. If you want to play Unleashed, the best way to do it is there's a mod for the PC version of Generations. We'll talk about Generations itself in a bit, called the Unleashed Project, which is basically fans manually ported all the daytime levels into that. And it was also the game ran very poorly in the HD version. Like the frame rate was often abysmal.
God, yeah.
But in this, you're playing 60 FPS on the Generations engine mechanics, all those daytime levels, except Eggman Land, because that was a mix of that and Werehog, and they couldn't figure that out. And no medals, and just pure. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that's the way to play Unleashed if you have access to that.
If Unleashed was a step in the right direction, Colors was basically
finding it.
Crap, we found our way.
It's so funny remembering like my initial thoughts of it, because this was the first one where I'm like, I have zero interest. It's like, oh, it's only on the Wii. It's got this goofy name. This is going to be nothing. And
before we get to Sonic Colors, because this actually reminded me of something. So remember how you said you weren't interested in the Wii version?
Yeah.
Well, remember what else was coming out at the time?
On Wii?
Not just on Wii, but in Sonic.
Chronicles?
No.
What?
So around this time, they'd gotten Unleashed right. But around this time, Mega Man 9 had just come out, and everyone was celebrating Capcom's
Sonic 4.
Now, let me finish. There's a story with this. Also around this time, Nintendo was reintroducing the
Are you talking about New Super Mario Brothers Wii or New Super Mario Brothers?
But there had been no 2D Mario game, so they introduced New Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
And Sega thought, well, let's get in on this. Let's also get in on the DLC aspect of it. And so they introduced
Sonic 4.
Yep, Sonic the Hedgehog 4, a quote-unquote return to form, using the modern mechanics, a mix of the modern mechanics and the classic mechanics in a HD shell, but still being Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's a messy game. I actually barely played it because it was 2 releases, and I think they planned for it to be more episodic, but they just canned it because just people weren't big on it. Well,
yeah, because like the idea was, okay, well, DIMS has been doing pretty well so far with their Sonic games, so let's give them a full-on Sonic game, and this should be easy. I mean, you just reskin Green Hill Zone, reskin Mystic Cave, reskin Metropolis, reskin Casino Nights, and you're good.
Nope.
But the problem is that the level design was not very interesting.
I heard people complain about the physics too. They didn't know the physics.
Well, and the thing is that if you play you play Sonic 4 like Sonic Rush or Sonic Unleashed, it's fine. Because those games are basically get to the end point, then replay to get the fastest time, then replay again to get the fastest time. They're not about exploration. However, if you play them from a classic mindset, which is what they were trying, which bear in mind, they were asking us to do.
Yeah.
Suddenly, I want to explore. Wait, why am I standing on a wall?
Also, I remember thinking episode 1 looked kind of ugly. Like, it had too much of a pre-rendered sheen to it.
Absolutely.
And then, but then when 2 came out, it was more like what I'd hoped it would look like.
Yeah, and the thing is that, like, we have to remember, we're in the age of the HD. Hello?
I'm here.
Okay, cool. We're also in the age of the HD 4K super realistic boom.
Yeah.
Where they thought that, throwing lots of fidelity, that's the term I've come to use, throwing lots of fidelity at a project would inherently make it look better. And that's not inherently true. You need an aesthetic. Fidelity cannot make up for a lack of aesthetic. So, and we would see that later on. So you have this sort of janky looking Sonic who runs like classic Sonic, which doesn't really, the wheel of feet works. The hands at side does not work. At least not for modern Sonic.
Yeah.
The music is all rightish, but if you had picked if you hadn't been so beholden to the Genesis Mega Drive like MIDI compositions, you might have had something cool or memorable. And in terms of gameplay, either go all the way classic or go all the way advanced. Rush. Advanced.
They try to hit in between here, I guess.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
Don't try to ape what you think it works, because it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So,
but I think we kind of need to start cutting down on how long we talk about each title. We're going to be here all day.
Okay. So getting back on track. So Sega is hyping up Sonic 4 as the return to Sonic, and on the side, they've got this little project that nobody's really taking seriously. I mean, it's Eggman. He's got an amusement park that he's made up.
It's only on the Wii.
Cares. Yeah. Nobody cares about this amusement park that Eggman has made. Nobody cares about these space aliens that give Sonic weird powers.
Power-ups. Oh, that's the new gimmick. Alien power-ups.
Everybody's talking about how Sonic is now becoming Mario Galaxy, Sonic Galaxy. And by the way, there's a DS port, and it's basically Sonic Rush 3. Nobody cares about it.
It's Dimps, boost formula, very similar look.
And then it comes out, and the gameplay is super solid. Yeah. The level design is all right. It's really good. It plays to the strengths of Sonic. It does 3D until the 3D runs out, and then it just goes 2D.
Well, yeah, Unleashed did that too at the daytime. So this is I think we didn't realize this was going to be the daytime foundation, but no werehog or padding.
Well, yes and no.
To a degree, to a lesser degree.
The padding comes from remember I said that it did 3D as much as it could until it couldn't 3D anymore, and then it went 2D?
Yeah.
The 2D takes up the bulk of the padding in the supplemental missions.
I'll take it over the werehog.
Amen to that. Which it's funny because now that's actually the theory in my hand that I'll talk about later.
Yeah.
The wisps, the color power-ups, we make fun, but they also add a level of dimension to Sonic that he sorely needed, at least in the modern context.
No, they work because they don't take over the game for extended periods. Like, they almost all have meters, and I think they're cute little characters. That amazing announcer, Laser. I think that helps.
And of course, the levels are built primarily around Sonic first, with alternate paths built for the Wisps.
Yep.
And the aesthetic. So remember how I was saying with Sonic 4 had lots of fidelity, but poor aesthetic?
Yeah, this had a new, but it was consistent with the amusement park trapping.
Well, not just amusement park, but oh my God, look, there's palm trees in space. Does that make sense? Absolutely not. How big is this amusement park? It doesn't matter. Is it realistic? Absolutely not. But it's pretty.
Yeah.
Sweet Mountain. It's an entire planet made out of food. Does this make sense? No. Does the food look realistic? Absolutely not. But is it pretty? Does it have a consistent color palette?
Yes.
It's Aquarium Park. The Skeleton Coaster, I forget the name of it.
Asteroid Coaster, I love.
Yeah, Asteroid Coaster, Terminal Velocity.
Basically, it was fresh. It felt fresh.
And it had to because it was running on the Wii.
They couldn't go for prioritizing the fidelity.
Exactly. So you had to do the Super Mario Galaxy route of this looks really, really pretty, even
Have
if I can't see it.
Which I prefer.
Even if I can't see the details on
and
Sonic.
also, not environmentally, but this is what we're talking about. This is when they switched to American writers.
Yeah. So basically, the writers
got,
for
like,
this
the
were
best,
guys
some of the most natural feeling dialogue you'd had up to that point.
And we so basically the writers they brought in were the guys who did Happy Tree Friends.
Yes, a show without dialogue.
And what's interesting is that this also marks a shift. Whereas Unleashed had sort of hinted at it with the opening cutscene, here all the characters were full on aware of their roles within the story.
Yeah, this went to a very tongue-in-cheek feel. They were no longer trying to make it feel like a serious, epic, dark thing. This was like Sonic started out lighthearted and comedic. Let's take it back to that. Are you there? Okay.
Okay, cool. We're back. Cool.
Where'd you lose me?
So yeah, we get this self-awareness, like at three independent points, independent of each other. Sonic and Tails and Dr. Eggman make note of the fact that Sonic and Tails have nothing better to do but to ruin his schemes.
Yeah, and the fact that Eggman's scheme is that he's made this amusement park to make up for his past crimes. And he's saying on the loudspeaker, like, this is in no way a front for another evil scheme. Mm-hmm. Like, I think this is when Mike Pollock really got to flourish, because Eggman became such a jokey, over-the-top character. And you also got Orbot and Cubot.
Oh, yeah. And then, which is funny because there have been iterations of Orbot and Cubot throughout the franchise. But
well, they're scratching ground originally, pretty much.
Well, and then Deco and Boko in Sonic X.
And then Unleashed had like a proto-Orbot.
Yeah, which we'll get into later when we hit Archie and
the cartoon. Yeah.
But you also get this sort of, not self-awareness, but the writing is just really solid and really witty, and also the voice cast switched.
This was a second recast, and I remember I was like, "This is probably the best voice Tails has ever had in a game."
Well, and I would say the same goes for Sonic as well.
Yeah, I still always find him a little jarring just because like Roger Craig Smith goes for such a deeper voice than any other, but he does work.
Well, and not only that, but it doesn't feel forced.
No, it doesn't.
Like, we'll tackle this later, but Jaleel White is it feels like the pressure is on from the 90s to stay cool.
Yeah, we'll talk about him.
And then, and with Jason Griffith, he's translating Junichi Kanemaru into English. He's
too happy.
Yeah.
He's just too jaunty and jovial for Sonic. That's my problem with him.
But Roger Craig Smith,
it almost has like a cynical feel to it at points.
Well, what's interesting about this is that this was also not their first rodeo.
Wait, whose?
The new voice cast.
Oh, they did Free Riders first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the worst games, apparently. I've never even played it because it's like a Kinect, but whatever.
It's worse than 06 because at least 06 you can play. But anyway, back on Colors. So Colors, Sonic experiences a sort of resurgence, but not as big as Sega would want because the game comes out on the Wii and it's also marred by the infamy, what would become infamy of Sonic 4.
Yeah, kind of a messy period, even despite the game being great on its own terms.
However, what they but they do realize that people like Sonic. They like Sonic in 3D, and they can justify Sonic in 2D, but they're not sure that they can 100% guarantee that people will be 100% on board with that. And as you mentioned earlier when we were talking about Unleashed, they still can't make a full game that's just modern Sonic because that's just too much.
So they pull the nostalgia card harder than ever before.
Oh, God, yes. So at I forget when it was, they announced a trailer, and it's Sonic running through a white void, and like, yeah, whatever, Sonic's cool, whatever. And then at the end of the trailer, another Sonic is running with him.
And it's the old design.
Yeah. Because like in around when Sonic jumped to 3D, Sonic
we talked about this adventure. They redesigned everybody.
Everybody essentially hit puberty.
Sonic was originally like shorter and chubbier.
Well, not only that, everybody hit puberty except for, including Dr. Eggman for some reason. I don't know how a 45 to 50-year-old man hits puberty and gains 3 extra inches, but somehow he did.
His limbs got a lot of ganglia, yeah.
Yeah. And so the hook with this new game, which would be titled Sonic Generations, is that Sonic and Tails, classic Sonic and Tails as they would come to be known.
Yeah, it's a time warp plot.
Would be pulled out of time to help Sonic and Tails deal with a new Eldritch abomination. Time Eater. And
the setup. Let me just say, the setup is that it's Sonic's birthday because this was a 20th anniversary game. Mm-hmm. They do that every, Adventure 2 was a 10th anniversary game. 06 was 15th anniversary. And I'm sure they wanted Mania and Forces to be 25th, but didn't want to rush them. But yeah, the plot is that Sonic's birthday is happening, when all of a sudden this Time Eater shows up, sucks everybody to this white void, and Sonic is going through old environments to restore them and fix things. And
what's cool about that is that offers a modern take on old classics. Now, some of them are so immutable that you can't really.
And a classic take on modern, because the idea is when he meets up with classic Sonic, you play each level twice. Once in a pure side-scrolling Genesis-style moveset as classic Sonic, and then once in the boost formula as modern Sonic.
And this actually grosses into an issue that I have with the reemergence of classic Sonic, but I'll get into that in a second.
Okay, go ahead.
So you get these some of these games, these levels are immutable. Like Green Hill Zone is always going to look like Green Hill Zone, but Chemical Plant takes an entirely different new shine.
It's awesome in modern. The slides, those big drops. Yeah, a lot. It's really cool to see, levels from one distinct era get a real huge facelift when you play in the other way.
And of course, sometimes the necessity of changing those up too. Like Seaside Hill has to become different because the original Seaside Hill in Sonic Heroes was essentially a Green Hill Zone.
Plus, with the team mechanic, which you don't have anymore.
Or in Crisis City to see what that would be done with a team that has all the time, money, and energy and resources to.
And as a pure side scroller.
That too.
There was no side scrolling in 06.
Yeah, but I mean, and that actually kind of browses into my problem that I have with classic Sonic as a character type.
Okay, what's that?
So, tangent. Baby Mario and Mario, I don't have this problem with because Baby Mario is physically incapable of doing the same things as adult Mario.
Unless he gets a star.
Yeah, but that's the point of the character, is that he's not the main character. He's a MacGuffin, and that the fact that he's a MacGuffin is justified by his age. He is physically incapable of being like his adult counterpart. My problem with classic Sonic as a character is that he's essentially a skin of a skin of modern Sonic, in that modern Sonic is physically and fully capable of doing everything that classic Sonic can do,
and more. Like,
you need precise jumping on your things. Yeah, lock on homing attack. If you need a little bit more air dash. You don't want to spin. You want a spin dash that doesn't run out.
Boost.
Here's your boost. That you don't have to charge and doesn't run out. Boost. And classic Sonic. And the other issue is that you could make an argument if modern Sonic had never used any of classic Sonic mechanics, except that that's patently not true.
Yeah.
Sonic had even ignoring the 3D games, he had a spin dash in Advance. He had the spin dash in Rush, and it was only in Unleashed where they phased that out entirely.
Lost you.
Got me? Are you back?
Yeah, I lost you at saying it was Sonic Unleashed. They phased it out entirely. But nope. I guess we just talk about classic Sonic a little more.
Yeah. So classic Sonic does not need to exist, but for any reason to pander to your nostalgia.
Well, and also there's also the fact that story-wise he's mute.
Yeah.
So kind of bummed me out. I remember people saying would have been a great Easter egg to get Jaleel White to voice him.
Which I don't think they're going to do for. I think they're playing it safe.
I'd read why he's not going to talk in Forces or anything. They said the concept is Sonic was mute in those old games, and since we're meant to be emulating that, it wouldn't make sense to have him talk.
It's one of those things where I'd have to personally disagree with Sonic Team, in that if they could have, they would have made him talk. That was not a storytelling choice. That was a storytelling necessity. Wait, am I still coming through?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So there's no, and like you have 2D stages in modern games. So classic Sonic feels like a nostalgia grab. Admittedly, a very well done nostalgia grab because the levels are still really, really good. But you also have to remember, there's no such thing as by its inherent nature as the game's not being made in the 90s, there's no such thing as a classic Planet.
Yeah, I will fully admit I prefer the modern sections in Generation. Mm-hmm. There's just more opportunities there with everything they've added. And
here's what's also depressing about that. At the time that Sonic Generations came out, they divided the game into 3 eras: the classic era, the Dreamcast era. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I'm just not interrupting.
Okay, cool. Classic era, the Dreamcast era, and the modern era. And here's the rub. Classic era, classic Sonic.
Yeah.
Dreamcast era, modern Sonic. Modern era, modern Sonic.
Obviously. Yeah. You kind of outweigh the ratio of origins, kind of.
Which unfortunately speaks to the fickle nature of the fandom, and really fandom in general, because we get this in all fandoms. It's not just Sonic. The idea that old is better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not always true.
And that's kind of why Sonic Generations rates a little bit lower for me than my top 3. What are your top 3? I just want to know. So my top 3 would be Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Yep.
Because one, it was a fully original game. The amount of content in that game, and on a mechanics base, it was a fully complete game.
Yeah. And 2?
Sonic Colors.
Yeah, okay.
For essentially the same reasons. It adds to the formula. It's a solid game in and of itself. The story is good. The aesthetic is good. The music is good. There's a little bit of padding in the 2D, but it's still a really solid game.
And what is 3?
Sonic Mania, which we will talk about later.
Yep, they're saving that for the end.
But Generations would probably be my 4th.
Okay. I'm going to say I don't know my top 3, but I actually think Generations is my number 1.
Interesting.
I know. That's a controversial one that's saying they like it more than the Genesis games, but I feel like the high points of the boost formula are my favorite things in Sonic. And I know I'm going to make a lot of enemies by saying that. But
no, I prefer modern to classic overall.
Yep. I feel there's more opportunities there.
Well, I think also you're right that they had refined the boost formula so that the branching pathways of Unleashed and
it's so satisfying.
They were way more pronounced. Like I think Seaside Hill is one of my favorite for that reason.
I don't like the side-scrolling underwater parts of it as much. I think level design wise, the weakest parts of Generations are side-scrolling parts of Seaside Hill, Planet Wisp in general, and the last boss.
Oh God, yes.
Nobody liked the Time Eater battle.
Which is it's unfortunate because I feel like it's where Sonic Generations sort of falls apart at the end.
Yeah.
Like even going past Planet Wisp. Rooftop Run Classic is a marathon,
which is sad because the modern version is still awesome.
It's a breeze.
Mm-hmm. Also just the best part of fan service is the reveal of classic Eggman for the Time Meter. That line, "It's Dr. Robotnik." Nobody calls me that anymore. Like they're acknowledging, they're not saying why, but they're like, yeah, they're still in the past. He was Robotnik for a while, but we're not going to say why.
Yep. And so what's fascinating about that is that the issue with Generations is that it's a lightning in a bottle moment. Mm-hmm. You can't do Generations again, or rather, you really shouldn't. Unfortunately, that didn't stop really Sonic Team as a whole from revisiting the past obsessively. Mm-hmm. But I think it was a lightning in the bottle moment wherein your next game shouldn't be Generations 2.
Yeah, and I think people were wondering if they would.
And I think but there's a problem is that's the high point of the series, but you can't revisit it.
I mean, there's still a lot of levels we could revamp.
Well, not in the sense that they couldn't pull levels. Like they missed out on a lot of my favorite levels. Mm-hmm. But in the sense that you really
game, no Sonic CD.
Well, in the sense that you really shouldn't be like, okay, well, here's your next nostalgia grab. Here's your next nostalgia grab. Here's your next nostalgia grab.
Yeah, you can't overdo it.
Yeah, and Sonic Team was aware of that. So they decided that they would try something new.
Are we about to talk Lost World?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. This is where things get iffy again.
Yeah, well, Lost World in and of itself is not inherently a bad
It is
idea.
no. I reviewed it when I was doing the interviews. I gave it a 6 and said it's far from the best and far from the worst. It's kind of a middling Sonic game.
Yeah. Well, and the issue is twofold. One, the core running philosophy for the engine, it runs counter to Sonic as a whole. The idea that you have to hold down a button to
no more
run.
boost, no more spin dash, just this kind of dash, but it's clunky.
And the issue with that is that it should have actually been in reverse. Instead of holding a button to run, you hold a button to slow down.
That's not a bad idea, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And then also just I know they brought back the spin dash, but it's functionally the boost.
Yeah, I remember they hyped up that parkour thing, and that was the clunkiest thing to pull off. I had so many problems with that.
Well, and there's issue number 2. The parkour system could have worked with level design that supported the parkour system.
Yeah, it almost every element felt like a step backwards.
Because Sonic has run on walls before and run up walls.
Yes, including in previous Boost games and Adventure.
Yeah, but it had never been mapped to a function before.
Yeah, it was more scripted.
Yeah, and I think that was great that they mapped it to a function. However, the level design did not support that.
The controls didn't make it very easy to do either.
Yeah.
Issue. And I remember just being so disappointed when the gameplay that was first shown. I was like, you're just throwing away everything that made these past 2 games great.
Yeah, well, except for the writing, oddly enough.
This still is. I do feel like the dialogue's still fun, but I think this was the point where I started wishing like there was a little more concrete plot.
Well, and that's what's actually fascinating about that is that Sonic, Tails, and Eggman actually get full-on arcs for their characters.
I do like the fact that they have to form an alliance for a little bit.
Well, like Sonic learns a little bit more about how his cocky attitude gets Tails in trouble.
Everything goes wrong because he's like, I'm gonna kick this conch. Good job, Sonic.
Oh, and then number 2, he learns that overcompensating is not the best way to fix his flaws either. Mm-hmm. Tails gets an arc where they reaffirm his friendship with Sonic, even though it's kind of, I don't know how he de-roboticized himself after.
No, he faked it.
Well, I know he faked it, but he still had those headpieces and the cannon attached to him. That still worked.
He took them off? Yeah. No, but no, I remember he's being angry about Sonic trusting Eggman, which turns out he's right.
And then, of course, also there's the whole deal of Eggman faking his death and having to form a partnership and really explore his relationship with Sonic, Tails, and Sonic and Tails.
Yeah, I mean, this goes into more how like they're kind of meta-aware and like they don't take him like a serious threat anymore. He's more of a nuisance to them.
Yeah,
so
and then
it's kind of like whenever you'd see the Pokemon games team up with Team Rocket. Like, well, you're a thorn in our side, but all right.
But then this is actually, unfortunately, not taking it seriously extends to the villains. The Deadly Six. Cool design, bro, but you need good gameplay to go with it.
I think I only really like 2 of them personality-wise. Is Zaz the hyper purple one?
Yeah.
Him and Zor the emo one.
Yeah.
Because like they would do things of like yelling insults at you during the stage, and I remember like straight up laughing at some of the things those 2 said. Or
some of the ideas were pretty cool. Like you're going home in a box. I'd love to threaten somebody with like that. But they didn't really do anything with them.
And no joke, I didn't beat the game because I got to the final Zavok battle and I just couldn't pull it off. I'm like, I just went and looked up the last Eggman battle on YouTube because I'm like, this is frustrating as fuck.
Well, what's fascinating is that they also did a version on the 3DS as well.
Yeah, I've heard that its own set of problems.
Well, yeah, because like remember when I said that a Sonic level should never be more than 3 minutes?
Yeah, I've heard it's long.
Oh god, yeah, and they're hoping that you'll find tricks to speed up the level.
You there?
The 3DS version has better flow. And it's very weird.
Actually, can I just ask you something?
Shoot.
So we've been going for 2.5 hours, and I kind of feel like I need to either soon take a break or eat something. So would you be up with the possibility of saving the cartoons for another episode, like with Chris?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so let's just finish. We'll do all the other games and cap things off the Mania, and then we'll talk to Chris about maybe the next episode can be that. Okay, so but Lost World. And the other thing I remember is once I started playing it, because this was back, I went back to renting them now, and I'm like, so I started playing it, and I was like, the first half of it, like, this isn't actually that bad. I'm kind of in the flow of it, and then it just hits a difficulty spike in the second half, and it's just frustrating as fuck.
Oh, absolutely. And not only that, but there's so many different gameplay changes too. That's like why? Like first you're in a snowball, then you're in the casino, but you don't actually have to play casino. And
the wisps are back.
Yeah, and
for
then
no reason.
And they don't work. Like those core 6 in colors. The games, both in the Wii and the DS version, the game was designed around them. Yeah,
this is a recurring problem you've been bringing up, is when things don't feel designed around the gimmicks.
Yeah. And then of course there is and then at some point you're like, oh, and then here's a stealth section. Why?
Here's a snowball section.
Yeah. So
and I remember, funny enough, people were saying like, this is, when people saw the aesthetics, they were like, this is the Mario Galaxy of Sonic games, and I was like, that is an insult, because I think Mario Galaxy is the best Mario game and one of the best games ever made.
Yeah.
I fucking adore Galaxy so much.
Yeah.
I was like, don't dare compare this.
Don't do Galaxy dirty like that. But yeah, so I think that stumble kind of plus the nature of the Wii U informed the next game.
Oh boy, I think other than 06, this is the nadir. Rise of let's specifically talk Rise of Lyric. So, but the interesting thing about Sonic Boom is that it's all technically a spin-off.
Yeah.
Because did they make the games because they were making the show?
It's weird because I feel like it goes both ways.
Because I don't know whichever, but it's funny because the show has been the one that has found success.
Well, I think the show was meant to hype the games, and if the games had been successful, that would have been a reboot of Sonic as a whole. And
it does sound like, because this was, again, they outsourced development to first-time developer Big Red Button and Sanzu for the DS, 3DS, and it also sounds like Sega was just relentless in their demands and scheduling.
Well, not only that, but the Wii U also played a big part of that too.
Oh, are you talking about the technical side of things?
On two fronts. So Sega had, after the success of Colors, and also before Generations had fully revitalized Sonic, Sega had promised that on the Wii U to revitalize the system.
3 exclusives.
Yeah, 3 exclusives.
Lost World, one of the Olympic Games, and then boom.
Yeah. Well, because Lost World didn't do well enough.
No.
And also the flagging, at the same time, people were still hankering for Generations. And also the Wii U's sales were doing poorly enough that Sega wanted out of this deal.
So they kind of half-assed it with their third game?
So, exactly.
And rushed it.
So the idea was that we would get 3 awesome Sonic titles. Mm-hmm. Instead we got, on a technicality, Olympic Games is going to be one of our 3 games.
Yeah, we always get one every 2 years. That's a given, and nobody really cares about it.
And then Boom would be our big thing. And our big thing would be about that is that, you don't like how we're doing it? Well, we're handing off to see how an American developer would do it.
Whoops.
Well, and I think that was a problem that not just hit them, but also hit Capcom, too.
Yeah. I think
this was also around the time of DMC Devil May Cry.
Well, that game actually was received well critically. It just didn't sell. There was so much backlash from the moment they revealed it.
Well, and that's an issue with the fans.
Actually, I guess that applies to Boom, too. When people saw the redesigns, like Knuckles, I still can't really get used to Boom Knuckles.
Well, my issue with the redesigns is less the designs and more about how the characters bend their joints.
Huh.
Because you notice how, with the Boom designs, they actually bend around a very clear hinge. But with the classic and modern designs, there's never a clearly defined...
They're more rubber hose?
Exactly. Well, but when you add that joint, they lose their flexibility. And it's something that's also bothered me in the Boom cartoon too. Mm-hmm.
Also Western made.
Yeah, but in terms of the designs, I actually do like the designs, even if some of them are slightly nonsensical.
I feel like everybody but Knuckles was more kind of a refining.
Exactly.
Slightly stretch Sonic out a bit more, give them different accessories and clothing, but at their core, they're still the same characters. Knuckles was just the big overhaul. Well,
with Sonic, it's the Peach arms are so that way his arms stand out from his sprite in 2D.
Yeah, I didn't mind that.
So you give him blue arms, it makes sense that he naturally has blue arms, like Sonic, like Shadow naturally has black arms, or Tails naturally has orange arms, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The wraps, okay. He's wearing red shoes, and the shoes and the wraps hold his shoes together. Okay, fine. The scarf is kind of dumb, but fine. And same thing with Tails getting the mad scientist gloves and the goggles for work.
Tails and Knuckles almost look identical. I mean, no, Tails and Amy look almost identical physically.
Which is fine because you know what? There's not much to redo with them anyway.
Yeah.
Amy's outfit is better geared towards physical activity rather than
the world that they gave us.
Rather than, oh look, here's a lawsuit every 12 seconds because you're showing a 12-year-old girl's panties.
Oh my god. Knuckles.
Knuckles. I like his redesign.
I mean, I don't hate it. It's still a little jarring. But I actually, a YouTuber I like, Son Call Me Johnny, pointed out why one reason they did is because, Heroes and stuff onward established that Knuckles is the heavyweight of this group. But if you look at how he compares size-ways, it's more like you have to take Sega's word for it.
Exactly.
This is them going, no, let's make it make sense physically.
It's like, as opposed to, the fast dude and the strong dude, it's Blue Sonic and Red Knuckles.
It's also because in this world, they upped his stupidity. Like, he is the dumb jock of this world, so let's give him a body to match.
Well, again, going back to the sort of Americanization of characters, and also Sega's restrictions, like Sonic and company were very milquetoast in the games throughout. Mm-hmm. Suddenly you have these very clearly defined personalities. Sonic is an arrogant jock who can't sit still for 5 seconds. Tails is over Sonic's crap, but still finds pleasure in science. Knuckles is the dumb meathead who gave all his leg days to Bowser in Smash 4. And then Amy's the positive girl. She's
kind of more reasonable than the others. I like Boom Amy more than the game version because I always found Amy annoying in like the adventure days.
Well, what I liked about classic Amy was that she had an arc in that she was trying to define herself as worthy of Sonic without.
Adventure was also her stepping out of Sonic's shadow, but other than that, I didn't care.
But now here, like Boom Amy, I'm like, oh hey, she's the go-getter girl.
It's kind of like you can look at her in like Adventure 2 or 6 and be like, yeah, they didn't give her anything to do.
Well, and that speaks more to the culture of our world as a whole, and rather than any issues. Any issues that are purely
talk about Japanese women culture is a rabbit hole, but we're not here to talk about that.
And then there's Sticks.
I don't like Sticks. I mean, if we're talking the cartoon, that's going to be a different discussion, but...
I want to like Sticks.
Yeah, same.
And some of her jokes are actually funny.
Yeah. I know we're going to save mainly because of Boom cartoon talk for another episode, but some of keep seeing clips of it online, and it's amazing how crazy and meta some of the jokes get. Did you see the cup of tea joke?
Sorry, Sticks, but dirt throwing isn't my cup of tea. Thankfully, I know something that is my cup of tea. A cup of tea.
Why did you just say that?
Remember before I said I know something that is my cup of tea? I was just finishing the thought.
But you said that like an hour ago.
Yeah, but imagine if you were an outside observer just watching pieces of the conversation.
You see them too?
Yeah. Well, and that's an issue that I have with Boom.
That's one of my favorite things about it.
I like that it's meta. I don't like that the characters are aware that they're in a cartoon and exist solely for the sake of. But anyway,
but we're not talking about the cartoon. We're talking about Rise of Lyric. And did you play the 3DS game at all?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I played the first
Shattered
one.
Crystal or Fire and Ice?
Shattered Crystal.
Okay. Apparently, Fire and Ice was better, but Shattered Crystal was like too reliant on backtracking, collecting things to progress.
Yeah, and level design was a mess. But at least it was playable.
Okay, did you play Rise of Lyric?
No.
Yeah, I that's other than 06, like that in 06, I avoided straight up. Like, why bother?
Also, trivia note with Lyric. This is why puns are not always the best things. So you know how like Sonic refers to his speed, right?
Yeah.
But what else does Sonic refer to in terms of like general lexicon, like dictionary thing?
I don't remember.
Sonic is the speed of sound, right?
Oh yeah.
But what is a lyric?
Sonic Boom?
It's a music lyric, also relates to sound. It's dumb. It's really, really dumb.
Wait, is that why the only reason they named that villain Lyric?
I have to guess that's the only reason.
I have no idea what that name means. He's a big robot snake. What does that have to do with the word lyric?
I'm guessing that it's like, it's another sound-related word that we can tie to our protagonist.
And from what I've seen, like, story-wise, it's also just throwaway. The characters don't shut up again. And I know that, like, they have Metal Sonic and Shadow in there briefly just for the sake of them being like, hi, I'm this character.
Well, and that speaks to a problem that Sega Sonic team has had with their characters, as memorable as they are. But we'll get into that. Like from a story perspective, it's Robot Snake from the past, time travel to steal the Robot Snake so he has a beef with Sonic later on in the future, and this is how Eggman gets his device that allows him to control robots. That's literally the plot of Sonic Boom: Rise of Lyric.
Yeah, but it also. Yeah, gameplay wise, like this is like I think people were even before it came out, people were like, this is too extreme a shift.
Yeah, like where's the speed?
Why is this a brawler? Why is it a generic 3D platformer? And why is the speed this like almost auto runner with the most abysmal frame rate ever?
Because I think beyond the character designs, there was not a philosophy there. Because I look at the world building, I'm like, there's nothing here. Like even like I'm gonna dump on the show for a little bit. Like the show at least has a world. It's not a world that I appreciate.
I find the world pretty generic in the show. I'm more about I like it has the dialogue and the writing.
And the game didn't even have that. And then of course there was the glitches. The level design was a mess.
Frame rate. About how like the multiplayer, one person had to look at the gamepad and the graphics got even worse on both screens.
Yeah.
Like, just what a mess.
Like how the how you need to have Sonic Team. I can't speak to you to get directly, but don't be rushed to be the killer app of the next generation. Stop doing that.
They never learn, do they?
Because that's the same issue that hit them with Sonic 06.
Exactly.
We have to hit it at this particular time.
No, you don't. That's why you delayed Mania and Forces.
Mm-hmm. So they learned there.
Hopefully.
You don't have.
I wouldn't be surprised if it happens again.
The same, and so on and so forth, and also don't trust people that don't have a pedigree.
Oh yeah, this was the company's first game. Actually, the 3DS version, those guys made the PS3 Sly Cooper game, which I really liked. So
yeah. Well, I think also they didn't really know how to differentiate it from a Sonic game.
It was their first time doing anything like Sonic, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if Sanzaru is still existing.
I think they do, but I don't know what they're doing after Fire and Ice.
Yeah, so there's that.
I mean, I'm guessing there probably won't be any more Boom games, because apparently the first two are some of the worst selling in the series history. Like, the reputation spread real quick.
Which is interesting, because Fire and Ice did better.
But still probably not good enough. I still don't know why they went ahead with it after those sales, but that's Sega's decision.
Well, they probably tested the waters. Just I think the 3DS version sold well. Shadow Crystal sold well enough. Plus, they wanted to toss a throwaway that still kept a connection with the TV series.
They probably wanted to promote the show because that was doing well.
Yeah. So,
so I guess we should.
That brings us to not to the present. That brings us to the iPhone.
Okay.
So,
but I think you're getting is going to link to the present.
Oh, it will link.
Yep.
But so remember how I was saying earlier that we were saying save states are so freaking awesome.
We were thinking that and a certain man.
Yes. So a certain man, there's this fan named Christian Whitehead, and for a long time he'd been making Sonic ROM hacks.
Yep. There's a big scene for that in general.
Yeah, basically for those who don't know, ROM hack is basically you take the engine of the existing game, program some extra levels, and then create your own, essentially.
Yeah, or even art assets or mechanics, but building off the foundation of a game.
So he'd been doing this for a while, and he'd been largely unsatisfied with Sonic Team's efforts.
Right.
Especially after Sonic 4.
Yeah,
so what he decided to do is he decided that he would make a port of the CD game, not the CD game, the Sega CD game, Sonic CD, and port it for iPhones. And so he made the port. And then he presented the engine to Sega, and he said, "Look, here's an engine. I don't even care what you do with it. Just do whatever you want." So Sega's like, you know what? We were gonna do something like that, but we like yours better. So they ported Sonic CD to the
they
iPhone.
hired him to do official ports with like enhanced features.
And the cool thing about like some of these enhanced features are the ability to choose between the European and Japanese soundtracks.
Or like Tales in games where he wasn't originally playable, widescreen. I wish they put the CD port on consoles, but not his 2. Did he do 3?
No, he hasn't done that.
Oh, I wish. But they didn't put the 2 port on consoles either.
So then they said, so they're like, okay, well, you passed the hard test. Here's some easy money. Port Sonic 1. He did so. Then he ported Sonic 2 and threw in Knuckles. And so
Wait, you said he didn't port 3 Knuckles.
No, he ported Sonic 2, but you know how you can put Sonic 2 in, you can put Knuckles in Sonic 2?
Yeah.
He did that.
Oh, okay.
And so this is making enough chump change for Sega and Sonic Team that they're like, you know what? We don't stand much to lose. How would you like to make your own game?
A new retro Sonic game.
Yeah. So he says, okay, cool, awesome. So he goes and he finds his buddy Simon Thomley, who runs a studio called Headcanon, and they're on board. And so they make this game. But to sell it, they're like, well, we need we're going retro, right? Well, what's the one thing that people remember about retro Sonic other than Sonic 3 and Knuckles? The Sonic CD opening. So they go on the internet. They don't actually go on the internet. They go over to Archie and they say, hey, do you know any peoples? And they're like, well, we've got this one guy. He doesn't have any more work now that you canceled our comic book, buttholes. But you can use him. So they hire this comic artist, Tyson Hess, who, wouldn't you know it, he animates too. And Tyson, and so he says, hey, well, you know what? I could do this, but I also know some internet peeps who would also be good at this because I can't really, go around grabbing people. So he goes and he asks the guys behind Ego Raptor's animated music videos, Studio Yada.
Yeah, they helped with
the production. And for the pre-order trailer, he also goes out to ask this guy, Anthony Holden, and also Muriel Cartwright, right, who works at Lab Zero. And all of these people together. Oh, and by the way, they also decided, you know what? While we're on the fan train, there's this guy, T. Lopes. He's kind of awesome.
Yep, for the music.
He makes some awesome music. And who did the music for the pre-order trailer not pre-order, the
pre-opening
trailer for Fire and Ice? Those guys are pretty cool too.
Oh.
So T. Lopes is doing the main music. Hyper Potions is doing all the promo music. Tyson Hess, Studio Yada, Muriel Cartwright, and Anthony Holden are doing the FMVs. Yep. And this is all to hype up a game being made by 2 fan creators, Simon Thomley, Christian Whitehead, and this other studio named Pagoda West, whose stuff escapes me at the time being.
Yep, and this leads us to what we've been promising. Just came out, and it is Sonic Mania.
By the Mania, for the Mania. I know it doesn't make sense, but y'all are crazy.
Also, before we dive into talking the game, I posted this on the show's Twitter. I linked you and Chris the opening when it first got put on YouTube. I'm going to read Chris's response. I'm not going to scream it, but it is b, deep ass breath, ga he, and then a bunch of random numbers and symbols. 9IW9 JJJ 9W9W JDNA. He lost his mind.
Yeah, I kind of wish, in hindsight, if the podcast was a little older, I think a reaction video would have been great. Because it would have been you trying to keep us from, you would have had to strap me and Chris down to keep us from, flailing.
Oh, maybe I could try that in the future. But I'm sure we'll talk about this with Chris on your follow-up. But yeah, let's dive into Mania itself, because this is what we've been promising, and this is obviously the most prominent Sonic-related thing right now.
So, yeah.
What do you want to start with now that we've given the behind-the-scenes history?
So, let's start off with the story. So, Sonic and Tails, in an homage to Sonic 3, are chasing down Dr. Eggman and because he's found this mysterious new source of energy. And wouldn't you know it, right when they get there, they stand and gawk as Eggman digs it out of the ground, and you get this thing called the Phantom Ruby, according to the instruction booklet.
Okay, that's what it is.
The Phantom Ruby transforms Eggman's 5 egg robos into the hard-boiled heavies.
Yep, kind of the new Deadly Six, but they all have the classic egg robot look.
Things, yes. And I think I lost you again.
No, you have me.
Okay, cool. Meanwhile, what happens is the hard-boiled heavies warp Sonic and Tails to Green Hill Zone and then leave. Unfortunately, as they're leaving, they also knock Knuckles upside the head, and he gets warped to Green Hill Zone too.
Mm-hmm. Because he's chilling on Angel Island.
Yeah. So what happens is this chase throughout time and space as Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles have to race to get back this Phantom Ruby.
Right.
And so basically the formula is they catch up with Eggman. They either naturally progress to the next area of the world that would logically exist from wherever it is that they are,
or they warp, or
they get warped. And after a while, the story sort of kind of halfway gives up, and it says, well, "Screw it! I know you were on Little Planet, but now you're on Angel Island." And then, do we want to talk about the ending?
I think we can, because I think there's been, like, people are kind of divided about it.
So Sonic eventually chases Eggman to his factory on Little Planet and beats the crap out of both Eggman and the Heavy King. But unfortunately, the Chaos Emeralds do not react well with the Phantom Ruby, and so both Sonic and the Phantom Ruby are sent out into the void. Mm-hmm. And at the end of this, Sonic makes a very familiar pose to people who've been following Sonic for the last year or so. It's the pose that he makes at the end of the trailer for Sonic Forces.
Yep.
Not only that, but throughout the game, the Phantom Ruby has been chugging and making this weird noise, this weird like reality chugging noise that also appears in a trailer in Sonic Forces. So it's implied that Sonic Forces is also a prequel, not Sonic Forces.
It is a lead-in.
Yeah, Mania
is a lead-in. This is how classic Sonic ends up back in the present.
Uh-huh. Which, I mean, I'm of two minds about that. One, the ending, I don't really like it because it means that the game has a harder time standing on its own.
Yeah, it also means that if Forces does end up bad, it's going to kind of taint Mania by association.
That being said, I think it's ingenious in a number of ways. One, the ending is ambiguous enough that it doesn't really, that you can read it however you want. You can read it as Sonic jumping into a portal that takes him off of the planet, and he just ends up in a different spot than Tails and Knuckles.
Yeah. Also, the other thing I want to point out is it's, since it's still building on the Genesis template, it is such a minimal story game. No dialogue, spoken or text. So because it's less reliant on plot, even if you don't like the ending, it has less of an impact on the overall package.
Not only that, but it's like you can read it as self-contained. It's just like it stands on its own. Two. If you want to, you can read it as a lead-in into Forces, and you know that Sonic does eventually make it back home as long as the story is resolved in Forces.
Oh yeah, I think you can assume that it's just going to be a shame if Forces does end up bad. I'm hoping it's not, because what I'm seeing, I'm still excited about, but we don't know yet. Yeah,
and then number 3, this actually ties into, at least personally on my level, this ties into the ending of Sonic 4 Episode 2.
How did that end?
So Sonic 4 Episode 2 has Sonic and Tails going to Little Planet, the planet from Sonic CD.
Yeah.
That's been, instead of being chained to Sonic's planet, it's been encased inside a Death Egg. So basically, imagine the entire world being trapped inside the Death Star, for those of you who are
the Death Egg is a clear Death Star reference.
So the game ends with Sonic and Tails escaping from the Death Egg Mark II, which has encased Little Planet. And the game implies that that they will do something with that later. Of course, later never actually comes.
Right.
So what ends up happening is, so what I like to read it as is that in the ending of Sonic Mania, they destroy the chain connecting Little Planet to the planet, and
much like Sonic CD.
Yeah, and freeing it from Eggman's control. So I like to read the ending of Mania as being a follow-up to the ending of Sonic 4 Episode 2, even though it's implied that Mania takes place before 4 or after 4, and 4 never happened.
I feel like it would have to take place before, because 4 used the modern designs.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we should talk about the actual game, too.
Oh, yes. Oh, actually, one last note of trivia. My favorite part of the opening, the pre-order trailer in the opening. So they get in the elevator, right?
Yeah.
So, Mania has a lead-in where Sonic and Tails and Knuckles go into an elevator that leads into a special area, world.
And the floors, yeah.
And so, the elevator reads 1, 2, 3, K, M, meaning Sonic the Hedgehog 1, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic the Hedgehog 3,
and Knuckles.
Sonic 3 Knuckles, and Sonic Mania.
Yeah.
And apparently, there is no 4 on that elevator because 4 never
CD.
happened. Yeah, so that's where my theory still sort of holds up. But it's a fun little tongue in cheek about the nature of
because actually my biggest gripe with the game is 2/3 of the levels are reimagined zones from the classic era.
Yeah.
And I really wish it was we only get 4 new zones. The new zones are so good that I wish they would have been able to just commit. Maybe it was a matter of time and money. Be better to reuse old assets and such.
Well, and that's sort of my issue with Mania, is that I think that for the fans, by the fans, has both good and bad meaning.
It's kind of what we talk about in Generations and trying to tether yourself too much to what's already been done.
Mm-hmm. And not just that, but grabbing everything rather than just cherry picking the things that work the best. Like, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Like the boss, the zone boss of Chemical Plant Act 2.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a funny little wink and a nod? Absolutely. That being said, there's a reason why there's no such thing as Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine 2.
There's a lot of Puyo Puyo.
Yeah, I've never played Puyo Puyo.
Chris and I played the last one. But I think, so I actually had that boss spoiled for me before I did it. I wish I hadn't. I think I've had all the cameos spoiled because there are a lot of long gone characters who pop up. And the issue is that if you're not a hardcore Sonic fan, you're not going to be interested. You're going to be, and you might not even know how to play it. They don't give directions.
Yeah. And if you're not a fan of the old Sonic sprites, you're going to wonder why certain animations play the way they do. Like when Sonic does his running in midair because he's run off a ramp or a half pipe, that just feels like, oh, you just didn't decide to animate that, as opposed to a conscious design decision. The drop dash, I love it for speed running, but if you're not a speed runner, you're never going to find use for it. If you even figure out how to use it at all. Yeah,
I still haven't. How do you do it? Yeah.
When you jump, you hold the A button in midair.
Do I keep the jump button held down once the jump starts?
No, you have to tap. You have to hit it once in midair and hold it.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, they don't give you any direction for that in the game.
Which also becomes frustrating once you become Supersonic, and that's also the control for turning into Supersonic.
Whoops. But
I don't want to.
No. I actually, but I think I still really like the game.
Yeah, it's really solid. It's a testament to how good the game is. That despite its flaws, it's a very solid game. But at the same time, I also have issues with the length a little bit.
You think it's too long?
No, I think it's too short. I got to the end where I'm like, okay, and then I beat the game with Supersonic, and I got the secret ending that was kind of minimalistic. So, now what?
Yeah. Well, at least it wasn't $60. I feel like they priced it appropriately.
Oh, absolutely. Like, actually, I think they could have gone up for another $10.
It was it was 20, right?
Yeah, it was just 20.
I feel like so many games of that kind would be 30.
Like, I think they could. Yeah. Like, I think it has enough content, and I think it's solid. I think that there's a few intentional isms that don't quite work, and there are a few bugs that I wish that I'm kind of surprised were not ironed out.
Yeah, but I think what's really important to what makes it work is I'm in the camp that people like Dimps never really got a hang of what makes old school 2D Sonic level designs work. These guys got it. Oh yeah, I just would wish that they were not so hung up on the past that they're not moving forward. Do we know if that was Sega's insistence or if it was theirs? No idea. Because I'd be inclined to believe it's Sega, given what we've talked about with past games. Yeah. Like, banking on that nostalgia. Because people are already complaining, because also Green Hill Zone is going to be a level again in Forces, and people are like, okay, lay off the Green Zone. Well, not only that, but like there's level chatter during the promos that suggests that the chemical plant's going to be a thing too. Yeah, and there's also, it looks like there's going to be way too much level chatter again in general. But, yeah, so I'm just like, At least in Generations, you could turn Omochao off. Yeah. But, I mean, I still want to stick on Mania, because I feel like we've got more to cover there. Well, okay, yeah, you know what, I guess we could probably start wrapping up. And I am sorry to you that we didn't really get to talk the cartoons, but we have been recording for 3 hours, which is amazing. I really appreciate just how in-depth you're able to get about all these. How many games do we talk? Holy shit. A lot. I know. We said a lot about all of them. And it's been a lot of fun, actually. I am exhausted, but it's a happy kind of exhausted, you know? Yeah. And I think both of us, but you in particular, did a really good job pointing out, like, why certain things have worked and not worked. I think you even gave me some additional perspective on certain things. And, yeah, do you have anything else you want to say about the Sonic games in general? It's weird, like, to me that Sonic, if Sonic could nail down the gameplay, he could overtake Mario.
Like, that's always been his problem, because the marketing has always been on point. The designs have always been on point. The music has always been on point. The aesthetic has always been on point. And hell, even the story, as cheesy as they get most of the time, has always been on point.
The aesthetic was not on point in 06.
Well, yeah. Like, even that they're in nadir,
they tried.
They knew how to sell a Sonic game. Mm-hmm. The problem is that the games that they've made have very rarely been worth selling. Even something like Mania. I'm sorry, Breath of the Wild stomps all over Mania from a quality perspective.
I think we're going to make some enemies with this episode.
Like, it's very, very sad that as good as Mania is, if it was a Mario game, it would be an all-right Mario game at best.
I kind of get the feeling I might like Mania more than you. Like, my only real hang-up with it is, one, the reuse of levels. But also, I guess I touched on this earlier, like, both Sonic and Mario these days, I'm far more interested whenever they do a 3D game. Because I feel like in the 2D realm, we've kind of seen everything from a mechanic standpoint we can with those guys.
Agreed. I think there's more to be explored.
Yeah, but look at Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
Did you hear our E3 episode? Like, I lost my shit talking about the game. I'm so pumped.
I gotta go back and re-listen to that. But, like, I don't think we've mined the most that Sonic can do in 2D. But we've done
We've done everything he can with his base moveset. Hang on. Are you back?
Yep.
Okay, I was just saying, like, I think we've mined everything we can with the base moveset of a classic play.
I would disagree, but I think we've mined that aesthetic as far as that can go.
Well, man, we barely talked about Mania looks fantastic.
Yeah. Well,
like,
not necessarily the aesthetic, but like how we both gushed over like Studiopolis or Mirage Saloon.
Well, just the amount of animation and detail. Yeah.
But we're never going to move past that if we don't keep chaining it to Chemical Plant and Lava Reef and Stardust Speedway and all of those. Like, let's see what those
I've seen some people theorizing that they think Sega will very much gauge what to do with Sonic after looking at how people react to both Mania and Forces.
And that's what sort of worries me, because I don't want
them to abandon the boost formula.
Well, not only that, but I think that the hardcore fan is going to latch onto Mania.
They already have.
Well, exactly. But the casual, never played a Sonic game, only knows a boom. Yeah, they're gonna jump on Forces because it's got fidelity, but it'll probably also have fidelity.
Do you want to talk about Forces at all before we wrap up?
Sure.
I am excited for it.
Me too.
It's looking. The actual hands-on previews have been very mixed, including some people saying I liked Colors and Generations and I didn't care for this. But the gameplay I'm seeing does look fun, and I think right now the only thing I'm still iffy about is how the custom characters will play, because that also looks like it kind of slows things down. And it looks like just how it all feels.
Yeah, I mean,
how using these abilities are. But then, did you see the video that just came out with the tag team gameplay?
Yeah.
I liked it.
Well, I liked it, but I also didn't like that part with the double boost where I'm like...
Well, that's scripted.
Exactly. I'm like, how much control do I have over that?
That's never been that big an issue for me unless they made a whole game that was like that.
And that's what I'm worried about with Forces, because I haven't seen anything that suggests a proportionate amount of control.
Well, I'm also worried about its story because I've heard they're not using those same writers anymore. And so now it's almost looking like 06 version 2.
On the other hand, some of the things that they're doing from a aesthetic standpoint are on point. Like Infinite, the whatever he is.
I think the Infinite stuff is kind of dumb so far, but
I love how stupid it is. It's so over the top.
I guess it's that the writing they're showing still has none of the tongue-in-cheek feel.
And that's one of the things where I kind of have to wait and see.
It would be kind of odd if you had the dialogue style of the adventure games with the modern cast, and I'm wondering if that's what's going to happen.
Because that's what I'm worried about. But on the one hand, Infinite is so over-designed that I love it. Because
I would love it if they did a bait and switch with what he ended up being.
He's probably the Avatar.
Oh, yeah, probably. No, I was thinking, I've never seen another game that did this. Did you play all the Jak and Daxter games?
No.
Do you know about the reveal at the end of 3? The precursors, what they actually were?
Yeah, I know that.
It's brilliant. And it pissed some people off, but I loved it.
I mean, I think that they're leading into that because, like, have you seen the media that they've been releasing for him with like his song, theme of Infinite?
Kinda, yeah.
Where it's like this hard rock, new metal, super.
I would love if it leads up to some sort of joke or left turn twist, because there's probably going to be some twist with who he is.
Oh yeah, or
what were you saying?
Or like what they did with Metal Sonic with the. Oh, by the way, so we know that you don't really love the U.S. version of Stardust Speedway. We made it. We made it wub wub. It's awesome.
The Metal Sonic battle on Mania is also kind of crazy.
Yeah, but like, I mean, they only released the theme. Let me see if I can find it.
No, I was talking about Mania. I wanted to bring up, because was my least favorite part of the metal fight in Mania is when you have to throw like those metal Sonic balls at him.
Yeah, but that was kind of dumb.
Were those robots inspired by the Game Gear Sonics?
Yep.
They make the sound effects and ride the rocket. I'm like, holy shit! They drew from everything. You there?
Hopes for Forces.
Okay, one more time. I lost you.
Oh, okay. So I just put the
I
Sonic
see the video.
Force, versus Metal Sonic, where it's like it's the U.S. version, but it's really cool.
Cool.
My issue is just always going to be it's like, okay, well, it's the same issue that I have with Spider-Man for PS4. This looks great. How much of that was playthrough? How much of that was scripted?
Yeah, I actually have to say for Spider-Man though. Because
on the one hand, like when you're doing a perfect speed run, it looks effortless. It looks like you're playing a movie.
That's tough to do. Hello?
Me.
Okay. Well, we can still. I guess we can wrap up now.
Yeah. Well, actually, let me go plug this other laptop in. It doesn't have a microphone, so it's gonna be.
We're pretty much done. We just need to do our outro.
Okay.
So, I don't know if it will still come through in the final edit, but I just lost Colin for like 3 minutes. We've had some various connection troubles. I'll try to edit out most in the finished product. But congratulations, we didn't even get to cartoons, and this is our longest episode ever.
We didn't even comic, and oh my god, like we have to do a part 2 with the cartoons and the comics because that's
I think so. Once we know what Chris's deal is, I'm going to tell him let's get together, all three of us, and do that part 2 with that, and maybe we can get like his quick thoughts on the games, like whatever he really wanted to get across in bullet point form.
Yeah,
and then we'll return to the normal schedule of him and me taking picks. But again, Colin, thanks so much for taking all this time to just. People, now you know the ins and outs of how me and Colin feel about all the main Sonic games.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, and thank you for having me and like allowing me to just geek out.
Oh, it's always fun having you on. The Ghost in the Shell episode was cool hearing all your thoughts and everything. And besides the next episode, I'm sure we're going to have you on again at some point because me and Chris talk to you pretty often.
Yay!
So again, if you want to listen to us, if you want to see more of our stuff, you can find an archive of all these shows episodes on my YouTube, and you can find me on YouTube, Twitter, Tumblr, and pretty much everything at Behonkis, BEHONKISS. The show can be found its pages on Twitter and Facebook, Sketch Watch Play for both accounts. And again, Colin, where can people find you?
You can find me by Googling Skipperwing. I am on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, the entire thing, except for adult sites. I don't do that. At Skipperwing, KIPPERWING. I make an animated comic book called The Crimson Fly. You can find that at thecrimsonfly.com. And you can also find the YouTube videos of the treatment process on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/skipperwing. Thank you again for having me on, John.
Yes. I'm for the first time without Chris, but I think we did pretty well. I am John Fleury.
And I'm Colin Bird.
And the best sentence I think, the best Sonic line I can think of to sum up our recording process is, watch out, you're going to crash! Have you ever heard the Japanese version of Tails going down scene?
No, I have to look
it up because the actress, instead of the final line of like, I'm going down, she emits this screech, which is like, yeah! And somebody edited together where Sonic is saying, watch out, you're going to crash, while in the background, yeah! And she also says something that I can't unhear it because in the YouTube comments, somebody sounds like it does. She's going, Bob Dylan!
What? Tails? Watch out! You're gonna crash! Ah! Tails.
I will have to look this up.
Yeah, along with, I already know that, who's the Japanese voice actor for Sonic?
Junichi Kanemaru.
He loves to do random English like, that's right.
Okay.
It's okay. Because Adventure 1 and 2 had Japanese voice options, and it was always fun hearing that. This is going to be the after fade out music clip I use. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. No way! See you! Stop! Thank you! Alright! Shit!